I love that intro. I had a lady said a comment goes, I was checking out your video, but before the video even starts, I was scared from your intro. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. That's a winner. That's a win. That's a big win. Well, guys, today we got, of course, you guys know me. Maybe you guys don't know me because it's a different channel. Maybe not a lot of my Gypsy Road people can't come over because a lot of people on my other channel, some of them are not really movie faux lovers like I am. And I'm joined by Bigfoot Man himself. There's his channel right below me. Check him out. He loves the paranormal. He loves to investigate whatever. You can say Bigfoots, you can say UFOs, you can say Mothman, whatever there is. If it's out there, he likes to explore it. I like to explore it. And movies. Yes, movies could be make-believe. Could be. But movies are all based on some kind of folklore story. And a folklore story could be real, could be false, but there's always something that triggers a story. And Jeepers Creepers, if you think about Jeepers Creepers, and I'm going to show you guys the trailer when people come in to give you an idea, if you haven't seen it, what Jeepers looks like. Jeepers Creepers is one of the coolest freaking, I don't know, you want to call him horror enemy, whatever you want, that you might want to be, because he's like the ultimate vampire in a lot of ways. Ultimate zombie vampire. You really don't know what the fuck he is.
Yeah, and that's the beauty behind it. The mysterious. Every 23 years, he wakes up to feed.
You could chop his head off, and he could grow back a head.
They ran him over to dust. Darry's like, he was dust. And, hours later, he's still being hunted. It's remarkable, the magic behind the lore behind the whole series. It's beautiful. And to know that it's coming back for a 4th edition, being reborn. Wow, what magical times.
I've heard a lot of complaints. A lot of people didn't like number 3. It is what it is. Some people like it or not. But maybe 4 will come back with the bang and bring everybody back. But what we'll do is, guys, in case you in the chat or who's going to be watching this later have never seen Jeepers Creepers, I will play you the trailer. It's not the movie, but at least kind of gives you an idea what the flavor of the movie is, and then we'll break it down. Let me get it here for a second. This is Jeepers Creepers, the first one. This is the official trailer to Jeepers Creepers. So
it's a road trip movie, guys. So if anybody's been on a long road trip down some desolate areas, they can connect to this because there's monsters out there and there's people that are on the streets that are just as scary.
Go. Oh, I had to change my audio so it'll work.
I haven't seen a car in 50 miles.
You know what I just thought of, right?
Kenny and Darla.
You believe that story?
Did they go looking for her head?
They only found the car.
They never found her head.
What's he doing?
The hell is that? You dumped something down that pipe.
Wrapped in a sheet.
It's gonna be a deer.
What's your idea of a little adventure?
I'm just gonna look.
You know the part in scary movies where somebody does something really stupid and everybody hates them for it? This is it.
Every 23rd spring, for 23 days, it gets to eat.
Eat.
What the hell is that thing? It's stuck in her bones.
You must have 5, maybe 600 bodies down there. If that's something it likes, one of you.
You think he's dead?
They never are.
Jeepers Creepers.
Yes. Wow. If we could go back to those times when, in 2001, right when it was airing and, oh, man, life was easier,
It is.
Oh, wow. I was 9 years old.
And, you know, he loves people talk about original stories. I mean, that's a freaking regional story.
It really is.
One. Now, you know, I'm always thinking, okay, you're part of the country that you don't really know too well, and you don't have, you know, 2001 cell phones aren't like they are now, and who knows, even if they had cell phones, if there was even towers out there, you see somebody dumping a body, you would think the smart thing to do is find the next town, go to the police, and tell them instead of stopping and trying to go inside. Because one typical thing that all movies do is it makes all white people stupid. Because like haunted house, you're white, you're going back in there. You know, you don't get the fuck out. So I mean, it's people. I'm sorry, guys die first. White people don't leave. We all die, and it's the women who survive. So always, if you're going to travel across country, my recommendation is carry a woman with you and make sure she's handcuffed to you. You might survive.
Yeah, let the woman drive. You know, keep an eye out for the passenger seat. That's where Darry went wrong. They should have took Darry's car and let Trish drive, but they took Trish's car and had Darry drive. But I love how it ties to real life, like we were talking about. Is the creeper, you know, a dragon or a man who's cursed? But it actually stems from inspiration from an unsolved mysteries case of Dennis DePue, the man that murdered his wife. And then he was in a van and he dumped her body, and two people were in a car and spotted it, and then he ran them off the road, just like mirroring the image of the very beginning of Jeepers Creepers 1. So it's so crazy that, you know, it is a movie, but when you're on those desolate roads, you might stumble upon something that you weren't supposed to see. I know all the time when I stop at weird gas stations, I'm on high alert because, you know, the wrong person sees you, see them, boom, boom, bang, bang.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, they'll go after you. I mean, there's a lot of movies like that. There's a Kirk Russell movie, I can't remember what it's called, where he pulls over to get some gas. Some cars pulled up, and then they start following them. I mean, you just never know, especially these towns. And, God, I know we go to Nevada a lot. You know, I'm on the West Coast. And you go down some of those desert roads, man, there's nothing out there. And there'll be a sign that says the next gas station is not even 100 miles away.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've done the road trip from Ohio down to Florida. I've done the Florida road trip from Panhandle to the Melbourne coast, and I go right through Ocala, right where Darry and Trish were driving. And I know 100% it is freaking scary. And I'm not the best hands-on guy, so even changing a tire is a little bit of a mission. So just driving new places and being in unforgiven territory is a risk, and it's a risk we run constantly.
100%. I'm from California, of course. Of course, I moved up to Washington, but I've drove cross country from Washington to New York because I lived in New York for a while. Drove from New York to California, then back to Washington, then Washington to Maryland. So I went to Maryland. I lived in New Jersey with the Coast Guard. I lived all over. And like you're saying, one time we were driving cross country to New York, and we were driving through Nebraska. And Nebraska was fucking freezing ass cold. It was so cold that one of my hoses on the engine, I guess it had a small crack, but because it was so cold, it split. So all steam came out, you know. And like you're saying, you know, you got to be prepared, especially part of the countries you're not used to, because I've never felt that kind of cold before because I'm originally from the West Coast. And I remember going outside to take the hose and like cut it down, cut the part that's cracked. I remember like going, and then my brother come up. We took turns just cutting a little hose, you know, just cutting it because it's part of the country that's so freezing. Like you're saying, you just don't know. You don't know what you're getting into. And it's like something you got prepared. I should have had gloves. I should have had something. And Nebraska is flat as hell,
like Earth.
You know. So I've driven so much. Now the parts I haven't driven yet is more down. I have never driven really to Louisiana and Florida, and stuff like real down south. And one day I'm hoping to do a road trip down towards that area.
when you drive through Louisiana, you see a bunch of alligators on the side of the road that have been run over. And the fourth movie takes place in Louisiana in the swamp. That's where he's going to be reborn. The third movie was filmed over in Louisiana too. The first movie was filmed in Ocala, right into Central Florida, right in the middle of just the swamps, the plains, the great nothingness, you know? And it's pretty wild seeing that terrain firsthand and in the movie and knowing how it feels to be helpless out there, because I lived out in my car. I've woken up shivering with my teeth chattering before. I've woken up with people pounding on the side as well. So it's nerve-wracking when you're outside on the road in the bubble. You know, anything can happen. Sasquatch events, UFO encounters up in the sky, dealing with police, dealing with homeless people at rest stops. Whew! The movie Rest Stop will show you the road can turn into a cycle that you could never break free from.
So this is the one you're talking about, Jeepers Creepers Reborn, expected 2021. So this is supposed to be out this year, I'm guessing.
Yeah, later this year. And the Creeper is coming back. The same actor, Victor Salva, the director that made the first three movies, is not returning, which is a good thing because he has a horrible past of terrible crimes. And
Brennan Sola, that's the new director.
Yeah, he made Iron Sky, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Iron Sky, about the Nazis on the moon. So he's the perfect guy to make this movie. I am so freaking pumped. Yeah, and it's going to take place in the Louisiana swamp. I'm kind of upset they didn't ask me to be in it. I would have got killed off in the Honey Island swamp 100%. Never seen Iron Sky. Crazy storm outside right now, too. Mother Nature is letting us hear it.
So Iron Sky, The Coming Race came out in 2019 that he directed. Huh.
Yeah, The Coming Race is actually the second one. Iron Sky, the first one, is about Nazis on the dark side of the moon. The Coming Race is about Nazis in Middle Earth. You have freaking Adolf Hitler riding a Tyrannosaurus in Middle Earth. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Iron Sky, 2012. 2012, yeah. So that's like 7 years apart. Wow.
And the second movie was fan funded. I'm pretty sure I helped donate like $7 to help make it.
Yes, you can watch it on Pluto TV. I wonder if Pluto TV is like a free site where you can watch it.
Probably, I could send you a link. I have a couple free sites that I have that movie.
Yeah, no. I like to, when you get a new director, and sometimes you like to watch their other stuff to kind of get a flavor.
100%.
Do, because some directors, they like to get in deep with the story itself, but then you got some directors care more about the action versus the story itself. So it's kind of neat to see how they do some other movies. You always learn a lot.
And directors have different styles too. Like Danny Boyle is a director that I'm really attached to. Guy Ritchie with his rapid style. Stanley Kubrick has his own style. Directors are very important, and when you're into cinema like you and I are, and my best friend Jake, who's listening right now, we actually look into directors and their vision behind it. Whenever I see someone is making something, I dive right into who's the man behind the camera.
Some people say that's a bad story. Well, it's not always the story. Sometimes it's not about the story; it's about who's directing the movie. Because we all seen simple stories, but a director is one that's making it real. Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes some directors, it's not their fault. Sometimes studios do get too involved. I mean, Warner Brothers is known to get too involved trying to take over projects, like firing Zack Snyder and that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of some other directors, like the original director of Suicide Squad 1. Had a total different ending what he wanted, but the studio came in and said, nope, we want this and this and this. Yeah, the movie, the ending of Suicide Squad was fucked up, and yes, and that guy, I forgot his name, who directed it, was the director, but that was the case where the studio tried to take too much power, and they kind of fucked up the movie and got rid of his original ending. They did the same thing with Zack Snyder. They fired him.
They do it all the time in these Hollywood movies. It's really sad that the studio comes in and cuts the movie up and chops it out. I've experienced it firsthand. I had speaking lines in this one movie called At the End of the Day, and I was really excited to see it on screen. And then they cut the speaking lines. It's just, but that's how cinema works, you know. But it's sad when two eyes get in between the vision, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people who, like you said, does parts of the movies and their scenes actually get cut. You never get to see it, and then they show up the director, not a director, but they show up in a deleted scene. I am going to ask you a question about a deleted scene, and because Jeepers Creepers has a major, not giving you the answer, but they put it in a whatever called deleted scene. But let me ask you something now. Like in Jeepers Creepers, the movies are canon, canon. Everybody knows canon. Star Wars or canon, 1, 2, and 3. But if a scene is cut out in a deleted scene, technically, can that be considered a canon piece, or is it? Cause I heard people say canon, like a lot of cut scenes were done in Star Wars. A lot of people say it's canon, even though it wasn't in the movie. It was in the deleted scene. I'm always thinking to myself, well, if it's in the deleted scene, director might not have liked it. He might not want it in there because he doesn't want that to be canon. I mean, what's your opinion on deleted scenes?
Right. I guess it works in both directions because, like, I know there was some deleted scenes in these that the creeper was speaking, and then Victor Salva canceled that because he didn't want to introduce that idea until later. So I just say take it for what it is. I love deleted scenes, though. I watched all the deleted scenes for 1, 2, and 3. And I'm all about that special features extra disc on most DVDs that I buy. And because there's hidden knowledge, and especially something as deep as the lore behind the creeper, I want to dive into as much as possible. There's a ton of lore, but there's like little tidbits of clues in the movies. So you're left with like all that thirst with knowledge. So yeah, the comic books and the deleted scenes, I dive into it all with the creeper.
The only thing I hate sometimes on a deleted scene is you actually like it. You like it so much, and you ask yourself, why was that not in the movie? Or there's some movies, like I Am Legend on the DVD, had 2 different endings.
Yep.
One where he blows up all the, what do you want to call them, vampire zombies. They had another scene where they actually have feelings. And I remember watching the one that wasn't used, liking the one they didn't use instead of the actual one they did use.
Same. Sometimes they take the cheap way out. And, like, I know that they had an alternate ending for this, too, like about Darry somehow being the creeper. And then there was another ending plan, but they, like, cut $1 million from the budget, too. So sometimes it's budget reasonings of why scenes are deleted. So it has nothing to do with the story. It would have actually enhanced the story, but money problems, man. It all goes down to the root of all evil, A
lot of people don't realize in the movie The Crow, in the comics, they had the cowboy skeleton. The cowboy skeleton is like the guy who tells the crow what to do. In the movie Crow, they actually the actor who played in The Hills Have Eyes was playing the skeleton cowboy, and they actually cut the first scene with him in it. And of course, after Brandon Lee died and all that, and then to finish the movie, they didn't have the money as they once had. So they told that actor, we're just not going to do the second scene. And in fact, we're also going to cut out the first scene with you in it as the skeleton cowboy, which actually to me is cool in the comics, but I liked it better in the movie without the skeleton cowboy because it's just like a better mind thing. You and the bird. Nobody's telling you what to do. You kind of just know what to do. So it is interesting in all these movies. Now, Jeepers Creepers, I did pull up an article, and it says, and you probably know already all this, what we're going to see here. This article says 10 things you didn't know about Jeepers Creepers.
Heck yeah.
And let's see here. And it's kind of cool. It starts with number 10. It says there are different theories as to what inspired the character of the creeper. According to this, Victor Salva has always said the creeper legend is a complete fiction, but there are 2 theories of where the inspiration came from, which you and I were talking about in the beginning. Even though the story's fictional, but some of the folklore is from a real folklore story, and since we don't live in that time, we don't really know what folklore is partly true and what's partly not. It says here, the opening scene in the movie has been compared to the case of Dennis DePoe, a former Michigan property assessor who murdered his ex-wife, Marilyn, in 1990 by throwing her down the stairs and shooting her where their children didn't want to come with him on the visitation day. They actually made a movie of that, and I remember watching some kind of Jeepers Creepers video where they compared the scene they have now to the original scene of where that story part came from. It says here, a couple witnessed his truck speeding past them and noticed his license plate. Further down the road, they saw the truck parked outside an abandoned school with Dennis next to it, covered in blood. They reported the truck, following them until they turned down the side of the road, escaping, returning to abandoned school. They found a blood-stained shirt, and police found Marilyn's hidden body. The appearance of the creepers himself is said to been inspired by Spring Heel Jack, a creature of Victorian England folklore in the 1800s. The urban legend described him as a tall, skinny figure dressed in a black cloak with clawed hands, red eyes. Witnesses claim he had an ability to leap fantastic distance in the same way as the creeper does, with some reporting to have seen jump over houses. The Spring Hill Jack. That's kind of a cool name.
Yeah. I love that cryptid.
Have you ever heard of the Spring Hill Jack?
Oh, of course. And I think there's some ties to other strange creatures as well. Of course, like Mothman and ancient dragons too.
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm trying to look up a picture of that Spring Hill Jack. It's kind of let's see here.
There's a cool jackalope too type creature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can see Mothman. Jeepers Creepers is related to a Mothman because Mothman, in theory, has wings too. And if anybody knows what Jeepers Creepers, if you guys know, Jeepers Creepers is basically all dead skin, all like dead body, and if Jeepers Creeper, say he has a bad lung, say his lung is bad, I don't know, like a lot of us, we have a burst lung. Well, Jeepers Creeper will eat a lung and it'll reheal it. It'll take that person's lung and reheal it, like a heart. It'll take that person's heart or eyes and take it and it'll reheal. Even Jeepers Creepers, even if you lose his head, it'll grow a new head of the original person who took it away, and then it'll turn back into Jeepers Creepers. I mean, if it's gonna be a creature, right?
He spreads fear, and then the fear gives an aroma off, and then he can choose if he needs or wants that body part when that smell is out in the air. So he scares the crap out of everybody, and then he picks what he needs, and then he feeds on that. And it's really interesting to see him build up and then build down. And at the end of every movie, he ends up spreading his wings and flying, and it's quite the scene.
Yeah, there's I don't know what episode it was. X-Files, one of the first season had one of the episodes where a guy needs to eat humans, a certain human, has to be a certain kind of blood in him, and then he nests an egg and doesn't wake up for another, I can't remember, 100 years or 20 years, what I can't remember exactly. You could say that's almost like a Jeepers Creepers.
Very similar story, 100%. And there's so many curses that talk about every 7 years. So every 23 years definitely works out. And it needing to feed sounds like a Rougarou or a Wendigo and a lot of other ancient Native American lore. And the comic books go into the ancient Aztecs, talking about it being the feathered serpent and Quetzalcoatl and everything we're always learned about. So maybe there is some truth and some roots to reality with this creature. And if it's just the Mothman, this might be an evil version of the Mothman. And look at gargoyles. They sit perched on their top of their balconies looking over the city as watchers and gathering information and protectors. Maybe Jeepers Creepers is working in a bigger, different realm than is beyond humanity.
Apparently, Jonathan Breck wasn't the first choice to play the Creeper. And that, to me, that's not really a story, because almost every single movie has a list of different actors, and not all actors could do it because of their whatever scheduling, or they don't want to do it. So that's not really, to me, anything.
He wrote it. Victor Salva wrote it with one guy in mind, and then when the guy who plays the creeper auditioned, the one scene that he's like licking the guy's face, and then he's like ends up grabbing the tongue in a later scene, but it's very like intimate scenes. The way the creeper portrayed it, he got hired right on the spot. And as we've came to learn and fear, that black tongue is scary. So I'm not riding on any more school buses across the Florida plains.
No, and it is sometimes fun hearing who were the original idea. I mean, if you go back to Die Hard, the main guy they wanted was the singer from Las Vegas Brat Pack, one of the Brat Packers, Mr. Blue Eyes. What's his name?
I'm not sure.
The singer, the famous singer, the Rat Pack, the Blue Eyes. Don't you hate it when it's on top of your the famous Brat Pack, the famous Brat Pack, Mr. Blue Eyes himself. Let's see here. No, from Vegas, not the movie. It's what's that movie called? The Brat Pack. Generation X people. No, Brat Pack Vegas, baby. Vegas. Here we go. Famous backpack. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was actually the first choice to play in Die Hard, but Frank Sinatra said, dude, I'm too old.
Yeah.
This. And then their second choice was Clint Eastwood. And then Clint Eastwood couldn't do it. And Bruce Willis, nobody wanted Bruce Willis because at the time he came off the show called Moonlighting. He was a comedy actor. He wasn't even an action adventure. So sometimes it turns out on these parts that who's supposed to have it, who didn't have it, and this person ends up. And then since that's the only person you kind of get an attachment. And the guy who plays Creepers, he was perfect. I mean, I have no complaints with him at all. And I wouldn't have any complaints for this guy who played in Pumpkinhead. That was a good movie.
Pumpkinhead's one of my favorite cryptid movies too, and my mom used to call me Pumpkinhead, so I have ties to that for sure.
Oh yeah, no, you could break down that movie. I mean, that's a deep meaning movie. Then the film was meant to have a different ending. I think you mentioned that yourself. It says here, Salva found out $1 million of his financing had fallen through. He was forced to cut and rewrite a significant portion of the film, losing around 20 pages of the script from the ending. Like you're saying, sometimes budget cuts for whatever reason. You have to rechange the ending in a lot of these movies because of the budget cuts. It is what it is. But sometimes that makes a better movie. See here, and then a leak. It says here a leaked original version of the script tells a very different ending. Now, have you yourself ever got in touch with or read about the original script or what the ending's supposed to have been like?
I not directly, just things I've read online, and I've heard things about Darry being the original creeper and somehow stemming back to him. But I would love to find out from the inside circle. But sadly, Victor Salva is kind of like untouchable, just because of his past. We don't really want to link up with him. But maybe with this upcoming Reborn, maybe it will be thrown back in the spotlight, and maybe the script will leak. Or if I can ever talk to anybody on the cast or crew of the first movie, I would definitely be interested in it because I love Easter eggs of cinema too.
Yeah, and sometimes I like it when some movies don't get to have a big budget, because a big budget does not guarantee a good movie. Guys, I'll tell you a fucking great example of that. American Wolf in London. It's one of the best werewolf movies ever made. And I can't remember how much it cost. I can't remember, like 10 million or whatever. And then they made a sequel, An American Werewolf in Paris, that cost triple of that budget because they spent it all on CGI. And if you watch that crap, the CGI was horrible.
Yeah, it flopped.
Like, you had something in the first one that looked so real. When they change it, I just don't get it. Why? You think CGI would since you're using technology and not you really need any actors, you need computer people you will save money, but you don't save money, and it doesn't look right. I mean, John Carpenter's famous movie, The Thing, he had almost zero budget, but look how real that shit looked in that movie. Sometimes it makes the creator, it makes the special effects people to really use their minds on how can we make this look good for $1 instead of $1 million.
100%. It's using practical effects and camera tricks. It's all part of it, you know. And I've been lucky enough to be on a couple sets of indie movies and then homemade films. So it's funny I'm all about the DIY culture and making it work. So CGI is cool when it works, but it's also wonky territory.
I mean, everybody knows the story of Jaws. You know, they try to have a real machine shark to actually use in the movie, and the shark kept sinking, keep damaging, so they couldn't really use the shark. So they decided to use sound, the music. You sense that the shark is there, but you don't actually see it. And sometimes that's better than whatever. Look at Evil Dead when they use the camera tricks of like a demon running to the house, but you never see the demon. You just see the camera going.
Yeah,
simple effects, simple things in the music. It really makes a difference. Now, I read this before that the creeper was supposed to talk. In fact, there was I know there was an original scene where the scene where he's killing the grandma lady, and he actually talked, but of course they cut that out because they wanted to keep it, like you said, keep the mystery alive. Here, one of the characteristics of the creeper was that he was silent, which gave him menacing, mysterious quality. However, in a deleted scene, after killing the cat lady, and that's what I was talking about people earlier in the show about, there's a deleted scene that actually says a lot about the movie because he did talk in that deleted scene. He holds her corpse up to the Darry and Trish and say, "She don't smell too good."
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing because he never spoke. Then he did speak, and I'm kind of glad they cut that out because if they would have left that in and the rest of the movies he never spoke, back in your mind you'd be like, why does he ever say anything else now?
Right. They could have pulled it like he pulled out or got the vocal cords of somebody though, and then there's creatures like Bigfoot and Dogmen that have voice and vocal cords, and like raven mockers, creatures out there in Native American lore that can just mock and mimic anything in force. So it could have easily been explained, for us Bigfoot and cryptid fans, but for the normal folk, I think it's more better to be chilling and not speak at all because that makes him a little bit more human, and that makes him a little less scary for some people. The unknown factor is what drives it.
Right here, I think this is they got a scene right here with that talk. Let's see what happens. Let's hear it. Oh, hold on. Oh, I can't make it bigger. Oh, it's unavailable. Okay. You just want to hear him talk,
She don't smell too good. There he is.
There it is.
Yeah, and it sounds cool, but there's like no perfect voice for the creeper. So I think it's good that they kind of got rid of that at least. I like that they actually call him Darius though, because his name's Darry in it, and you don't pick up on that. That is short for Darius, and Darius is actually used as a girl's name in Safety Not Guaranteed, the movie, the time travel movie. And I was like, oh, if I ever have a daughter, I'm gonna name her Darius. But now how current times are, I think I'll name my girl a nice feminine name to empower that and instill that in her mind.
You're doing the opposite now.
Yeah.
And the film did really well at the box office. Let me see here. Jeepers Creepers released on Labor Day 2001 and broke the record for the highest ever Labor Day opening weekend, taking in $15.8 million over 4 days. It went on to take $37.9 million in total America and held the record until 2003 when it was knocked off by Jeepers Creepers 2. It's still ranked number 8 to this day, with the sequel being the 6th most successful film opening on Labor Day, and Ron Zombie's 2007 Halloween remake now holding number 1. Yeah, but the difference is that Halloween, it had the lore.
Already had a fandom.
So that's not that. That's kind of not fair in a way.
That was grandfathered in. Jeepers Creepers earned theirs. I love the myth behind Jeepers Creepers, man. He should be up there with Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Chucky. There should be the Creeper. Just like the Collector.
Yeah,
the Collector's a scary one too.
Yeah, and so after his budget cuts, Salva was left with $10 million to make his movie, making it incredibly successful, earning a 59.2. That's the thing. If you can the best thing about horror movies is if you do it right with a low budget and a good story, you can make a shitload of money with the horror movie. Because documentaries and stuff, you kind of know what you're getting into. Horror, if you do it right, it could be a gold mine. You can't just. You just can't. Anybody can't walk in and make a horror movie. Me and my brother made one, and of course, it's shit. But
yeah, it takes a lot, man. It takes the music, the team, the story, a lot of everything. And I love with horror movies, it takes a stamp of the time, the culture, because they're always talking, and it shows the youth of the age, the generation, the older people, and how pop culture shapes into that. Just think about Scream, it just shows people, a stamp in that time. And then you go back to Sleepaway Camp, and it shows how things were back in that time. So the modern horror movies, it shows how generations are. Right now isn't much to talk about. I'm not very proud of these current times, but man, take me back to a early movie that takes place in the early 2000s or the 90s, and wow, it is magic.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. You go all the way back to Sam Raimi when he was just a college student, and when they got together, Evil Dead on the dollar, and of course that started his whole career. I'm trying to find. Where is it? Here it is. Here, let me share the screen. I'm not going to play it, but me and Bob on my Gypsy Road channel, if you scroll all the way down, me and Bob did a little movie, not a movie, called Real Ghost Hunters, and we spliced in movie parts to make it.
That's awesome. See, there's so many avenues of cinema, that's what's cool with the new technology, but it's also scary that it's going to also just become so real. You can do deep fakes. Yeah, that's awesome. I made a horror film at Bowling Green when I studied film. We did a film festival, and our movie was called Perception, and I was a killer in it, and we kill this girl, and then this guy walks in, and then he fights us and ends up killing one of us and then runs one of us off. And then he wakes up, and the girl wakes up, and he turns around, and she's like, "Thank you." And he takes her all around town for a perfect date. And then there's a knock at the door at the end. And then it comes to be she was actually dead, and he was lunging around her dead body the whole time, and he was actually the psycho. So it was pretty wild. And when we showed it in the movie theater for the film festival, everybody was surprised, and we came in second place, and it was awesome.
I'll play one short scene of my favorite movie where Bob in his part is trying to sleep, but he's about to be visited by an invader.
I don't know. Ward, you were a little hard on the beaver last night.
Look at that creature. Look at that special effect. He's being eaten by a mermaid dog man.
Wow. Honestly, you couldn't see the black hand that much. That was decent.
That was me in a green screen in a green outfit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you couldn't barely see it.
We tried. This scene here. I'm not gonna play it, but behind us, right between us, my son is actually wearing the green suit, and you can't see him.
Wow.
So you know, and of course when he finally texts me, oh, where's his face? That's me screaming.
That's awesome.
There's his face. We finally.
Oh wow, that's scary. And then Dr. Wu in the background. Like, that's awesome.
Yes, checking out. If you never watched it, just go to my Gypsy Road channel, scroll all the way down. It's in the early days. We actually, like you're saying, we had a board. We write down what do we want, and then we cut in. And the only thing sucked is we made it right, and we went to a site that says you can use this music for free. It's not copyrighted, right? You know, it's a theme music because sometimes music what makes the movie. This is all free, and so we used it. We put it out. This video's monetization because all the music was claimed. I'm like, it said it was free. So man, you don't even know it was free. It's like a trick. And last thing I want to do is go back and take all the music out and put new ones in. I'm like, fuck it, who cares?
Right. Yeah, I mean, they sold the rights of Jeepers Creepers to new people. So thank God the story is being retold. So sometimes paperwork turns into good things, but most of the time, like Robert De Niro said in Brazil, it just gets in the way.
Who owns it now? Like, who owns the rights to it?
I'm not sure. I don't like getting into that. You know, I don't even let my mind go into those kind of specifics. But it's easy to look up. It's whoever appointed that director for Iron Sky. So whoever bought it, they're doing what needs to be done. You know.
Yeah, number 5 is the Creepers Church burned down.
Yeah. I have a little bit of insider information that I heard from down in Florida that it was George Steinbrenner from the New York Yankees. He owned a farm right by the original barn or the original church. And in the movie, it burns down. And in real life, it burned down. But they said it was George Steinbrenner that burned it down because he was so sick and tired of Jeepers Creepers fans going on the land and visiting it. So he burned it down. And he didn't, you know, so that's the conspiracy. Rest in peace, George. But we caught you, buddy. We know it.
I can see that.
And I'm going to make a video later this year returning to the church. And you can go back to the diner. The diner is a closed down abandoned spot, but you can still go to it. And then the famous tree that is seen like 10 different times and Darry is peeing under, you can visit that tree right across from Rainbow Springs Park. And I can't wait to do some videos there.
No, I can see that. You know, the Twilight movies. I know we're not talking about Twilights, but Twilight movies is supposed to be a town called Forks up in Washington. It was not filmed in Forks, but now every year a bunch of young people all go through Forks now, trying to find where all the Twilight people hanged out. And it's just funny that, the famous Amityville Horror House, right? Now people go on the outside of the house just because it was in a movie. Everybody wants to see the actual house. You know, everybody wants to see the church. Kind of like when we did a show. It wasn't Loch Ness, but it was something about New Zealand, and they had Lord of the Rings like buildings there, homes there. Everybody,
the Shire.
The Shire. That shit is fun. That shit is just cool.
For sure. I love movie locations. I've been to the Truman House. I've went to the Dealey Plaza where JFK got shot. That's in a couple movies. A bunch of places in Hollywood. I love movie locations because that's a convergence of ley lines, man. It has ties to ancient times, and there are so many movies that were filmed in Florida. And like Creature from the Black Lagoon, it has ties to the roots of reality, man. Got to watch out.
And number 4 says the film has vastly different names around the world. Mexico, Camino al Terror, Venezuela, El Masajero de Santos. I mean, that's nothing really new. There's a lot of movies that actually has to have a different name just because a certain name might be copyrighted here, but in some countries, they can't use the name. For example, one of my favorite movies is the 80s movie Trick or Treat. I love Trick or Treat. I love that corny rock star coming back from the dead, killing people. It's great. But in Germany, they can't call it Trick or Treat. They call it Ragman. Wow. Sometimes it also depends on rights, what it is. They can't use this, they can use that. I mean, it's nothing really. it's nothing really new, and it's not like somebody's thinking, hey, let's do something different. Let's call it Jeepers Creepers in America, but over here we'll call it this. Sometimes you don't have a choice. We never know what Jeepers Creepers is used in another country for.
Right.
I mean, you copyright your own names, different parts, so that's not really new.
It's just paperwork.
Now, here's one you're talking about before the show. There are Jeepers Creepers comic books that reveal the mythology of the creeper. Of course, I'm not going to read that because you know a lot about it. They're saying, like, if you want to know little hints of how old he is in the comics, he's actually. Now, I'll ask you: in the comics, does he start in back in time, or does it show like present day and his memories?
The comics is about this kid that he is going to explore ancient mythologies of like the Aztec and Mayans, and then he has these visions, and then after he has like the first vision, he runs into a person that gives him this blade, and once the blade cuts his hand, then that awakes the creeper. But then once the blade cuts his hand too, he's able to sink into his visions, and he goes back into ancient Aztec times and old times of like the knights and the Vikings, and he sees that the creeper has wiped them out, and he actually goes to Roanoke, which is the ancient settlement that all the people disappeared, and that's a true American story. So it stems back to explaining that the creeper has always been around and might be the explanation of people abandoning their civilizations or people disappearing completely. But it goes back to Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, the dragon. They call him a dragon, and he definitely is a type of dragon. And a dragon is a god, and that's what they talk about with the pyramids and the ancient Sumerian tablets. So it goes back to the ancient times, and that makes it even better and closer to us and our reality, and Mothman and gargoyles and Bigfoot and the unknown ancestors of our reality. So it's quite magical. I definitely recommend looking into the comic books. There's a bunch of videos online that break down each comic book one by one, but it is magical, and it doesn't end well for the kid. I think his name's Ben. Ends up as doing the research, but Jeepers Creepers.
Do you know
those eyes?
Do you know if they consider the comics part of the canon, or are they just saying it's just an offset story that's not related to the movies?
I'm not entirely sure who put it out, but me, I connect all the spider webs. I don't care what labels on it. It all is ancient lore and mythology to me. I'm asking people about their real life encounters with the creeper to get some access.
I'm just typing it in. I'm just curious. Is Jeepers Creeper comics considered canon? Not sure. The comics are even canon to the film version, since the site doesn't seem to mention them, and horror is known for have several comic spinoffs. Not canon to the movies. I mean, even like Star Wars, they say their books and their comics are canons, but if you read the books and comics, they don't line up a lot with the movies, because when these directors take the movies, they're like, I'm not gonna change this scene because they have this in a book. So I always consider both not really canon, but there's a lot of interesting things, because you never know. From the comics that you're talking about in the Reborn movie, they might be picking stuff off from the comics.
Yep. That links everything all together 100%.
Like the Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon, they took Bane. The Bane books are not canon, but they took the character Bane and added them to the, into the comics. So comics are cool because you can pick apart, you can take things out. Like, look at the superheroes. None of the superhero comics none of those are fucking canon, because they always restart and change stories here and there. There's, that's what I love about the comics. This series Batman is different than this series Batman versus that Batman, that one. There's a soft Batman, there's a hardcore Batman, there's an old one, there's a, it's comics, but comics are fun. I mean, let me see.
There's a deleted scene in Jeepers Creepers 2, though, that Darry is taking the main protagonist, the blonde girl, out on a vision and showing him like levels of the creeper, and then there's these knights that are like melted into the ground, and you could see their helmets. So the movies actually do touch a little bit on like ancient armies fighting this mythical creature. So I love drawing all the connections in the skies of the creeper and mythical lore with dragons and gargoyles and Mothman.
You know, I love when, like, number 2, I love hearing stories about these special effects people. The makeup effect for creepers were created by an Emmy-nominated artist. Because, man, if you could do those correctly, yeah, I can see where they can be nominated and stuff. I mean, look at that effects right there. I mean, just looking at the skin outside the mouth, I mean, the texture looks perfect.
Yeah, he's one of the definitely scariest creatures. His face kind of looks like a dark Freddy Krueger, but then he has these spikes that can come from his neck, and then he has wings that are hidden until he's ready to show them. Oh man, he's a creep, and he has a black tongue in the first 2 movies, and then a red tongue in the second one. And you know how the timeline of the movies goes. They're all during the same feeding period, and it goes the first movie, and then the third movie starts right when Darry gets taken off, and then the third movie ends with one of the guys getting on a bus, you know, for the basketball game, and then the second movie talks about the guys on the bus. So it goes 1, 3, 2. And what I thought was funny is in the third one, the one dude, Buddy, he's the basketball player. He like literally sees the creeper and sees people dying, and then he ends up getting on the bus. And then in the second movie, they have a whole basketball game, and they're not talking about the creeper yet. So that's like a little bit of an error, a continuancy error, because clearly he would have told everybody on the bus, yo, a creeper just ate a couple people a couple hours ago. We got to look out for that. But they take him by surprise when he throws the spike and takes out the tires and then hunts them down all one by one. But it's very cool because the third movie has a black girl in a blue shirt too that is supposed to resemble one of the main characters in the second movie too. So there is a bunch of ties, and the creeper plays the same creeper in all the movies, and the deputy in the first and third movie is the same too, because it's like same. It's the same day and night. It's wild.
The face a little bit looks like Predator in a way, how the Predator like face opens up with the
definitely.
You know, I can see a little Predator in it, like if a Predator actually made love to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and if Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Predator had a kid, it's
right.
Jeepers. That's Jeepers.
Right here under this, of course, yeah,
under the silver, yeah. So I you know, you can tell how, you know, people pick apart for images. Let's see here. And then number 1, let's see here. They were actually 3 different
beating you
trucks made for the film. 3 different trucks.
Yeah, man, those trucks are scary, and I know they. I think they bought them and filmed them for number 3, used them for number 3. So hopefully in the fourth one, they're still in Louisiana. So hopefully they get to use the beating you truck. And it's funny because they're playing a license plate game. And at the beginning, you know, it's like the one that passes them, it's like G or 6-4. And he says, gay forever, I win. And she's like, no, that's a 6, dummy. That's sexy forever. I win. And it's really freaking funny. That it's a funny game. And just seeing 2 brothers and sisters bickering, it really takes you back to those times.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I never knew that, you know, growing up, I was 9 years old when I watched this. So I didn't really know how the world was. And now looking back, that Darry's character is not straight. You know, he has a little rose by his stomach, and he was saying that at the beginning. And, you know, everybody wants to demonize different people nowadays. And he looks back like, dude, everybody loves Darry. So everybody just shut up and treat everybody equal. But then again, I don't want anybody pushing, you know, weird thoughts onto our kids and making people think they're a man when they're actually a female when they're a man. So Darry did swing that way, but they didn't put it in your face. And I can respect that. I can respect
it natural. They added in natural. It's like right now, because the Me Too movement, there's a lot of movement about pushing women into stuff. And sometimes movies like I said, they're pushing it right into your face, where instead of just letting it flow in naturally.
Right.
And it's a take.
And honestly, he made a joke about it, and it went over my head as a 9-year-old kid, so they didn't hit it too hard. But the director has been accused of fetishism in the movie, and the department, like the art department, the costume department, actually came out and said, no, those were team decisions. I'm not actually sure what was the fetish, but the costume department came out and said, but definitely don't ride with Victor Salva, and I'm glad they resold the rights, and now they can push it forward, because it's sadly a black eye for since the creator of the awesome series is
sometimes you need new people to get a fresh story. Sometimes bringing back the originals is not always the best. Definitely. I mean, look at the Friday 13th series, where Sean S. Cunningham did all the original threes or whatever, and then he left the franchise and he came back and helped produce Jason Goes to Hell, or Jason, the final Friday 13th Part 9, whatever that goes to hell. It's stupid. I mean, it's just where Jason flops around like a worm going into people's bodies. And it was like so stupid and so dumb, and it was shocking to know that the original character, the original creator, came back. So sometimes it's better to do something fresh.
Yeah.
You need it, because the all director starts to get dried out too. I mean, we both appreciate Sam Raimi for all he did with the Evil Dead, 100%. You know, and then he took over the Spider-Man movies, right? Spider-Man 1 was fantastic. Spider-Man 2 is considered one of the best superhero movies of all time. And then Spider-Man 3 totally sucked ass.
Yeah.
So
see, even the best could get burnt out. You know, you got to get in when it's good and get out when the studio is tearing everything apart.
And then you bring in somebody new. I mean, if you look at the Batman series, right? Tim Burton did great. You brought in the guy who made the Lost Boys. I forgot his name. Lost Boys was great, but he fucked up the Batman movies.
Joel Schumacher.
I hated his Batmans. And then the studio's like, hey, okay, we can't continue with this shit. And later on, they brought in Chris Nolan. Whole new flavor, whole new look. And it was like, wow. You know,
and now Zack Snyder, and a lot of people, you know, hate on it, but it's still magical.
Yeah, well, you know, Zack Snyder gets a bad rap with all those freaking people. They don't understand that, you know, Zack Snyder, his take of Batman, he wasn't doing a take of Batman in his mid days, in his young days. This is where he was on top of his game. He was doing a Batman that was an old Batman, older, where he can't do it by himself no more. He took a different take, and some people, they always say they want something new, something original, but when they get it, they're like, oh, that's not like the other movies.
They don't know how to handle it.
Wasn't that what you asked for?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, okay, Rob Zombie Halloweens aren't as good as John Carpenter's. We know that. But I still appreciate it that he took a chance and did a different version of it.
Yeah.
Was it as great as the original? No, but he took a chance, right? Because some people, I don't know why, some people think when they do something new, it ruins the original for them. No, it doesn't. Right. The originals are always going to be there. I mean, fuck. Look at the Star Wars, man. The original 3 was the best in the world, right? The last 3, there was no fucking connection to those 3 movies. They was not on board on the same page of writing it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from the original 3.
Right. I love just adding to it, you know, just like Wrong Turn. There's 6 of them, you know, like the first 2 are good, and then the next 4 get a little weird, and now they just remade it, and I think it's a magical rebirth and a revitalization of the series just because they changed the story a little bit. Now it's not, you know, mutated cannibals, it's people that live off the land that are just done with society. So it's cool seeing things go through transformations and being reborn. So I'm excited to see what happens with the Creeper. And with every 23 years, it's easy just to tell a new story, you know, the next feeding period. And then you can go back, because it's immortal, basically, to the old times. So they can make a medieval movie with the Jeepers Creepers. So, you know, one day we might have 10 different movies of this, and who knows, you and me might be a part of it. After my appearance in Zillafoot, I'm trying to be as in many monster movies as possible. I'll be that cryptid research specialist that warns everybody that something's coming. They, you know, shun me off. I'll get out. They get smashed. I come back for the next movie. Anacondas versus Brim. Bassman 6.
Well, it's kind of like every time.
3.
It's kind of like every time Ron Howard makes a movie, he always has a little scene with his brother Clint Howard.
Yeah.
He's always in a scene of every movie that Ron Howard does. Everything from Apollo 13 to his Solo. He has a part in every single movie. And I remember Sam Raimi used to do that with Bruce Campbell too for a while.
Uh-huh.
You know, he had like Spider-Man. He was actually in Spider-Man 1 in a small scene and stuff. Bruce Campbell was that horror guy like that. Now that's part of the show here. We'll go to the last part. It says here, everything you need to know about Jeepers Creepers 4. Now, of course, until the movie gets done and we see it on the screen, doesn't always mean this is exactly, you know, what the movie's going to be about. It's like, it's a guess, because I'm sure they don't want to leak the full story of what's going to be about. It says here, Jeepers Creepers 4 is currently in development, and here's what we know about Creepers' potential return. A TV series is also rumored. Oh, wow.
That would be cool.
Well, with all the fucking streaming services, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. I think a Jeepers Creepers series would be perfect on a Shudder.
100%. Yeah, that would be very cool.
You know, and if it can't be on Shudder, I wouldn't mind on HBO, because HBO puts money in their movies. Right. Their series. It doesn't guarantee money's going to make it better, but here, will the Creeper return one final time? The original Jeepers Creepers star Justin Long and Gina Phillips are siblings who find themselves, blah, blah, blah. Jeepers Creepers will be a solid hit. Okay, we know that. Every 23 years, yeah. I'm trying to see. Jeepers Creepers 4 will feature the return of Gina Phillips. So the rumor is Gina Phillips will be coming back.
Yeah, she's at the after credit scene or the final scene in Jeepers Creepers 3. I think it's like the final after credit scene. And she says, 23 years, she'll be waiting. And it's awesome because, Gina Phillips is a very awesome actor, and she's really pretty, and she was perfect for the freaking character.
This might be it right here, because this here, Jeepers Creepers post-credit scene. Let's see. Oh,
that was it. Yeah, you would be able to find the her scene for sure somewhere, of course.
Okay, you saw the make. Okay, I mean, I see that 23 years later, because it would be 2001. This is 2021. I mean, technically 10, 11 years. Yeah, they could do it. Or yeah, they could say it's 23 years in the future.
Right, and the movie probably took a couple years to make, behind the scenes. So it's about 23 years. And dude, when you're driving through the Ocala or anywhere in Florida after dark, yeah, there's panthers, there's gators, there's skunk ape, mothman, thunderbird, other creatures from the Black Lagoon, Swamp Thing. Watch out. There's feral people out there too. Florida man, people on bath salts, they'll eat your face. It's crazy out here, guys.
So we wrap this thing up. What do you got coming along? What do you got happening so people know?
Yeah, I'm working on a couple new books, and I'm doing a bunch of adventures. It looks like the sun's coming out right now, so I might have a chance to do some kayaking a little bit later. Might be on the Discovery Channel next month because of a giant bone discovery. We found this giant bone in a local creek, and a couple of news agencies have reached out to us and done articles, and they created a little buzz. So we're going to go try to find the rest of the skeleton and see what else is out there. But every day, a new adventure. We're going to Wakulla Springs, Captain Anderson deep sea fishing here soon to go snapper fishing, looking for the mermaids and great white and the Pensacola serpent. Godzilla attacked Pensacola in the movie recently. So if the Gulf can hold Godzilla, then what else can it hold? Every day is a freaking adventure. I'm going to Infinity Con in Tallahassee in June 5th and 6th. I'll be selling my books, Erie Swamp, Road Trip to Eden, Monsters and Mysteries Around the Corner, And then my other one, Big Brother Bigfoot. And I talk about Jeepers Creepers in Big Brother Bigfoot because I mentioned the Mothman and a bunch of gargoyles and how it's showed in cinema. And then I have a couple other cool scary movies here. Exist would be a fun one to dive into, made by the same people that made Blair Witch Project. How did I forget that? One of the best found footage movies. Monstrous, that's about the Bigfoot up in the Adirondack Mountains, the Beast of Whitehall. You got Wolfman. This is of course a remake and a retelling of the original Wolfman stories, and those are so cool to watch. Strange Wilderness is a fun Bigfoot movie. One of my favorite that we've already talked about is The Matrix. This is a documentary about it. Of course, Lord of the Rings. This has dragons, gargoyles, orcs, and elves in it. So this might have some ties to Middle Earth and Jeepers Creepers. So it all ties together, guys, and it's very magical. There's this new game called MetaZoo out, and it has Mothman and Bigfoot-type creatures. So if you want to break the fourth wall with these strange creatures and learn a little bit more about monsters and lore, there's things out there that get you a little bit closer. So cinema is just one avenue, but I totally encourage people to get out there, but definitely tread lightly because monsters are lurking, and Missing 411 is thriving, man, in multiple ways. The awareness is thriving, but people are going missing in national parks. You and your brother should do an article about, or an episode about Missing 401 100%. I would love to be a guest, but I'd also just love to see you guys discuss it as well.
Actually, we actually already did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Not wasn't that long ago either. I'm trying to.
Wow.
Let me see here. I'm trying to see where it is. Yeah, let me see. Let me go.
I know we did an episode on Gypsy Road about the Pensacola Serpent, the Loch Ness Monster, the Lake Erie Monster. I've always just been tied to these strange cryptids because it is our bridge to our creator, our tie to the unknown. We're surrounded by magic. Supernatural is just so natural. It's super. We create worlds in our dreams. So why put a cap on anything? The only lid is the firmament above
right
us.
Here. What is a missing 411 case?
Wow. I'm gonna have to look back.
Right there. Yeah. We looked it up. We're trying to research because that is such an interesting story on how these people just disappear. And the weird thing is about we understand that people disappear all the time, but these people, some of these people couldn't even really walk. They couldn't even really go far. So if they walked away, they would have been found. I mean, these people were gone. I mean, this guy does Missing 411 research, not just the United States, Canada, all over. Some people saying some of the same stories, bright lights and stuff. So yeah, we talked about that. That was 4 months ago. We did that 4 months ago. But hey, you never know. We might, we could team up again and do another 411 because that story just doesn't die. I mean,
for sure. A lot of people are still going missing, and out where you are, towards Mount Rainier and Yosemite National Park, a lot of cases are coming up. So it'd be cool to actually do a dive into maybe, some real people, and maybe we can help out with spreading the word and awareness, just because, man, people don't know about this, and then they go into national parks with their guards down, and then that's the last time. No one knows when it's that 23rd spring.
And of course, we did one on the Mothman. So everything's interesting. Well, guys, I gotta get going. You guys should trust me. You want to follow him. You want to subscribe to him because some reason people come on my show. Somehow they're getting big deals. My good friend Viz from the Walking Dead Now show that been on my my channel, been on his channel, just signed a big contract with the streaming service. I don't know who, but he's actually going to be doing a show on the streaming service coming up. So, because guys, you never know. People out there, you never know. You might be interviewed by forgot his name, the guy from Discovery that does those unexpected chat or
Josh Gates.
Josh, yeah, he does a lot of different.
He's the host of the show that
he has a lot of different shows on Discovery, not just one. He has a lot. Bigfoot.
We're gonna be with Josh Gates, man. I can't wait, and we're definitely spreading the word. about these strange creatures that we're finding in the woods. This is a weird Bigfoot face that we stumbled upon. This is a weird carcass that we stumbled upon in the Honey Island swamp. We're eating Hawaiian baby wood rose seeds, which are totally legal, making you see what else is out there. There's a realm of existence beyond our eyes and ears, and we really have to tap into it. So if you guys are down with that, check me out on Amazon. I sell the books on there. Connor Flynn, Garden of Eden, Road Trip to Eden. Then on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Bigfoot Anonymous. Reach out to me. Search me anywhere if you're into surreal mysteries. And
we might become small potatoes to him. We might ask him one day to come back and be like, guys, you guys are too small for me now. You never know. No. What's cool is, guys, we build a friendship, and no matter what direction anybody goes to, we all know who your true friends are.
100%. I feel a true connection with you guys. This is our fourth episode together, and I'm down.
And there'll be more. There'll be a lot more.
Yes.
There'll be a lot more. So beyond that, guys, I'm going to end the show. I got to get going, and I'll see you guys all later. Have a good one. Have a good horror day.
Peace.